You will edit this, right, won't you, Steve?
Yeah, just do what you're told.
Welcome to this special DVD compilation of Have I Got News For You? Also available on video, but congratulations on not being one of those sad losers stuck in the Stone Age with their fiddly old...
Should we be listening to this, do you think?
Dunno.
Welcome to this special video compilation of Have I Got News For You? Also available on DVD, but congratulations on not being one of those flash kits conned into wasting money on pointless technology. This tape...
Oh, he's jumping around a bit.
12 years of...
Well, you've got to nowadays, haven't you?
Can't hang about.
Hairstyles.
So you prepared, Ian, to look at yourself 12 years ago?
Yeah. I feel like those two Muppets in the box. The old men sitting there complaining.
Sounds like something you should be able to pick up at Burger King, a Muppet in a box.
Well, they haven't wasted any money on new titles, have they?
No, I think these are the original ones, aren't they? And talking of a Muppet in a box, here he is. 1990. Oh, dear me.
No one's listening, they're looking at your hair.
Yeah. Iraq runs short of medical supplies. Patients waiting for pacemakers are forced to improvise.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Saddam Hussein remains calm and even finds time...
Whatever happened to him?
No, he drifted out of the news, didn't he?
This week, two teams of witty and politically astute celebrities couldn't make it, so we've got this lot here instead. We have two...
It's kept you in work for 12 years.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
That's worse than him.
Yes.
Although which organ, I'm not at liberty to say.
So you've got lots of hair.
That's a comfort.
Yes.
Not as much as her.
No, she's got lots of hair there, hasn't she? Very sort of early 90s.
To my left, the other team captain, the man they call Mr. Comedy.
Ooh. Oh, dear me. Oh, dear. I start the series off with a wince. I didn't like that remark.
Prize judge, someone who once described Ian Hislop as sexier than Richard Gere. Kate...
Oh, can we have her back? She hasn't been a guest for a while.
No, I think since 19... We'll probably find out why in a minute.
Ian and Sandy, you're first. Who are these three gentlemen, and what did they succeed in failing to do this week?
It's odd, because Sandy was going to be the chairman at one point.
I think she was. She was. It was between her and Angus. God knows who they are.
To see President Hussein.
Yes.
Thus getting the name the Desert Rats.
And they failed to stay there.
They failed even to see him.
Yes, they failed on virtually every count, yes.
You can see him on television. I don't know why they went all the way there.
So this is a very topical story out of 12 years ago.
Just shows how far we've got in terms of world diplomacy, doesn't it?
Yes, the Americans... then it was President Bush, I seem to remember.
Unfinished business.
And of course he isn't.
Is that jacket too big, or is he shrinking?
Oh, that's the panic and the despair that swept across Britain when it was discovered we didn't have a deputy prime minister.
That's our Lord Mayor, isn't it? Or Mayor, rather.
Topical joke. Not funny, but it was topical.
I'll go if that's the way it's going on.
Please.
I don't have to be insulted. I do that all week.
Carry on, anyway. Yes, the Storms, you were going to say.
But it's interesting, he'd have never got elected if he'd kept this moustache. Can you see that?
Ah.
You can't have a moustache.
Is it moustache,
really.
or has he been drinking coffee? Oh, it's a moustache. It's a moustache. Oh, my God,
I thought you said, had he been drinking? He's about to push you off your chair now. You better watch it. Oh, look.
Yes.
Our own member of the Taliban.
Viewers, nothing happened in the dressing room.
Well, how soon we forget.
I'm wearing a badge there that says I am 65. I remember putting that on. I'm very disappointed by how fat I am.
I don't suppose I'll even get a card at Christmas.
What, there or now?
Yeah, no, here. Well, sort of... I expect I will be getting fatter as the years go by. I think I was quite sort of slim round about 93. But we'll see.
We've got a year or two to wait.
Yeah.
John Prescott.
It is John Prescott. Well done. And what happened to him?
He doesn't change much, does it?
Well, he was blasted out the window, just going past rugby. He got covered in lumps of Jeffrey Archer's next novel.
Same thing.
Yes, John Prescott being clumsy, Jeffrey Archer
not being able to write very well.
Visited on the London to Leeds Express, flushed up instead of down, saturating him from head to toe. But personally, I think that anyone who finds the idea of the Shadow Transport Secretary being drenched in a jet of his own effluent remotely amusing should be ashamed of themselves.
You see Shadow, then?
Yes. Yeah.
They've been there so long we've forgotten they weren't in power.
Should have gone straight to the buffet car.
British Rail buffet car joke. Very good to hear that.
No
Oh, look, there's Robert Harris. God.
Advertised the Right Honourable Roy Hattersley. Sadly, he had to pull out at the last minute, but at least it saves us the bother of putting windscreen wipers on the camera.
Yes, this was first time Roy Hattersley pulled out of the programme, I think. If I remember rightly, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon of the day of the record, so we were about 4 hours ago, Robert Harris came in and...
and was much funnier than he would have been.
Yes.
With the Prime Minister in 1983.
There's Robert Harris as a 12-year-old.
Oh, that's good. She comes up in the back.
Well, there's some very obscure journalist there. Some bloke...
bastard.
That's not nice language, is it?
I remember this clip.
Wouldn't have gone into the Telegraph if they'd seen this.
Just hanging around. And the journalist in the front is doing a very serious piece about what it's like following Mrs Thatcher on the trail. And, in fact, she's following him.
Well, that seems a pretty full answer. Let's see if you're right.
It's as far removed from traditional campaigning as it's possible to imagine.
So she's on the move. She's got to be... Yes, here she comes. She's on the move. Probably the one incident of her showing any sense of humour. This little look there, just a sort of... Yes. But whether she's meaning that as a joke or... I think she is, isn't she? Do you think?
Difficult to tell, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the only times you ever see her with a sense of fun, perhaps.
Oh, there's Tony Slattery.
Tony's looking very slim there.
Well, you should have seen what we were going to show, right?
From the earliest days, I enjoyed the double fantasy of being Emil Zatopek and David Coleman simultaneously.
Well, presumably this is in revenge for him not doing the show.
Yeah.
They put this
or
in.
the first revenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not really kind, is it?
No, it's as well he's wearing a tracksuit to distinguish him from the tree.
If his legs had turned to jelly, Roy Hattersley would have eaten it.
I don't know who that is sitting next to me. There's Arthur Smith.
Sort of snooker player's waistcoat.
Yes. The hair's doing something different there.
It's all come forward.
It's moving forward, isn't it? Desperately.
He's lost the Red Sea look.
Yeah.
And he's gone for it all coming forward.
I'm bound to tell you are the individual subtitles which are used to break up big tabloid stories like this. Paul and Jill, a cryptic assembly for you. Hairline, children, homeopathic, Christian.
Oh, I don't remember this at all.
No, what was this game?
Cliff Richard.
Exactly.
He's if his hairline recedes, he'll have plastic surgery. He's always wanted children. He denies claims that he's a homeopathic.
An early Mandelson variant.
Yes, yes. This is.
Bits of that are right. I'll give you 1 point for that. It is Cliff Richard.
I wonder how many times we played that. I have no memory of that at all.
No, perhaps we should bring it back.
And during that time, he's been to bed with just one girl. He's had 103 hit singles and over 45 albums in the top 40. So just think how successful he could have been if sex hadn't got in the way.
Yes, Angus. Now we know.
Where?
You start off from London at absolutely full speed. They then take off 3 carriages from the back, and they put a horse and cart on the front, I think. They stay in the stations as long as they can, and they get you here as late as they can. Do you know, when I first came, I thought you all lived in caves.
Any idea?
It's somebody modelled for Picasso, isn't it?
Roy McGrath doesn't seem to have aged at all.
No.
It's still all hair and beard.
A great deal, having handed over £2,000 in notes to a prostitute on a railway station.
Now, where's the cut? Where's the cut to the man in the middle?
Allegedly.
Yes, that must be one of the first times we did the allegedly thing.
OK, well, you say it was Jeffrey Archer. Let's have a look and see if you're right.
Do you know, when I first came, I thought you all lived in
Dear,
caves. And had woe.
he's still in prison at the moment, as we speak, isn't he?
Well, prison of a sort.
Yeah, he goes home at the weekends, doesn't he?
Yeah, and during the week.
Oh, does he?
Those see those Japanese tourists went to see him. They went to the prison 2 days running. He wasn't there either day.
So what does he do? Does he sort of drive past and wave at it every 48 hours?
After he's done his stint in the theatre.
Cling film.
Cling film is the right answer. Well done. Next, the what Cecil just can't
The
forget.
one minor incident in a lifelong career of perfectly reasonable service.
This would be Cecil Parkinson.
Yeah, but he came on the show, didn't he?
He did. He'll probably turn up later, I should imagine.
Next, Thatcher favours what as her successor?
Thatcher.
Yes.
Herself, yeah.
Yes, people don't remember that she was Prime Minister when we started, for about 5 or 6 weeks, I think. And,
Yeah.
the pressure of this show got to her.
Everyone else had tried for years, but...
I made Thatcher what, boasts Nigel?
Oh, yes.
To swallow.
I think because I was egged on by Tony Slattery, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was upmarket political commentary from an early age, wasn't it? Oh, well, Tony liked it.
Yes.
No, it's not a reference to food.
I think that was about the third or fourth show in, I think.
Paul and Jill, what have you come up with for this?
Take that, you old bag.
There's a joke you couldn't do these days.
Or, Charles, you're not the man I married.
Right.
Gulf crisis over. I'll come quietly, says Saddam Hussein.
As topical as today's headlines.
I wish.
What's it doing now, the hair?
Up entirely of unsold copies of the European.
European.
God, it sank with him.
Amid growing civil unrest, President Gorbachev denies rumours that he is having an affair with Dennis Thatcher.
It's the only sex he got that week.
Oh, it's Tony Banks.
Goodbye from me, and it looks like it could be goodbye from her.
Poppycock.
So that represents 1990. I was that last bit there with Tony Banks. I seem to be dressed as a children's presenter. I'm glad that moved very quickly. Now the hair's doing something. He's dyed it there, isn't he? It's a different colour.
And we've gone for a side parting.
Yeah.
After 5 years in a Beirut prison, Terry Waite is surprised by the change which has come over Archbishop Runcie.
Well, that's not a very good joke, is it? I mean, it's obviously Archbishop Desmond Tutu. How could anyone mistake that for Runcie?
He's just come out from being chained for a radiator for 5 years.
Exactly. I think it's good that people like David Mellor consent to being filmed doing stuff like this, because we can always look back at it over the years and remember what sort of man he was.
Ian and Harry.
That's the war where we went to liberate Kuwait.
It was very successful, and we went in against Hussein, and he's still there.
That's depressing.
A major victory for Hussein.
I do not like broccoli. And I haven't liked it since I was a little kid. And my mother made me eat it. And I'm President of the United States. And I'm not going to eat any more broccoli.
People wonder if it's genetic, don't they?
They do. Well, I think we've proved it there.
That's obviously fuelled his ambitions right from the early days. One day I shall be one of the most powerful men in the world, and I shall not eat broccoli.
A protest. There was meant to be a protest this week protesting that Salman Rushdie had been sentenced to death by a foreign power, reasonable sort of thing, and the Foreign Office said, could you not rock the boat, because we've got a lot of delicate negotiations about arms sales. I mean, about hostage.
Craig Ferguson. He went on to lots of success in America, made a few films.
Trevor McDonald.
Yes.
Don't know what happened to him.
Oh, that's a Kurd.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's all the same stories.
That's,
So is that.
that's something that rhymes with Kurd.
This is just dreadful.
I can't see any bird there. What's he talking about?
There was a concert of Kurd aid,
Kurd aid.
and it raised a huge amount of money, and the Kurds, for some unknown reason, seem to want it. And have been saying all week, please, Mr. Archer, can we have our money, please? And we know he's a charitable fellow. I mean, if you're a prostitute hanging around a railway station, he'll come along with a brown envelope full of money.
I seem to have been rather obsessed by Jeffrey Archer.
Yeah,
Thank goodness I'm not anymore.
I started wearing sort of like small, tight dresses and lots of makeup.
Talking of
no,
obsessions.
Got 10 pence for a cup of tea, Gov?
Is this after the
Well, that's
drowning?
the two of them
Must be.
leaving the sinking ship,
Oh, yes.
one might say.
Unfortunate phrase, perhaps.
It is, rather.
Oh, God, there's pantomime queen sitting next to me.
The sad news that there's £526 million missing from the Mirror Pension Fund.
Oh, dear, I seem happy.
There's one suspect. He was a 68-year-old pensioner who thought that the whole of the money should go to him.
Yes,
But did you like him?
Well, I don't know. I can't say I'm impressed with this compilation so far. There's very little of me in it.
You've got Cruella de Vil next to you.
Yes, it's true.
And you could get whipped and...
Was that the show she was on with Derek Hatton?
No. No, I think that was the worst show we ever did, wasn't that?
Easily.
Thatcher special.
Now there's Rory McGrath again.
Do I understand the libel laws? You can say anything you like as long as you say allegedly at the end of it.
Allegedly.
Yes, I believe that.
It's a good way to start, Paul.
I'm not sure it always covers you, does it, Ian? Tony, what's this story behind the headline, strangely reminiscent of a Kate Bush song? Man with a needle in his leg.
I don't get that.
There was a song called The Man with the Child in His Eyes, I think. Kate Bush song. So, popular...
popular music
She was a
reference.
popular beat combo in the 60s.
I remember doing Wuthering Heights, that's about it.
Although I remember, I think at the time that he should have had the...
Oh, yes, here we go.
Where
should he have had the ear, Tony?
No, that's Alan Corrin.
As if we couldn't guess.
That's all I've got to say, thank you very much.
I jumped on his gag there, really. I shouldn't have done that. Still, it's a bit late now.
10 years. Regret.
Disco fight, and in an effort to save it, doctors have grafted...
Do you think Angus has got all these suits still?
Like in a giant warehouse.
Yes, yes. Well, he'd need a giant warehouse to accommodate them.
A word in your sign.
Tony was wearing a sort of persuader's look, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Restricted over the next 5 months, but what there is of it will sound great. Ian and Sandy.
I don't believe that was not me laughing at that.
It was.
That was a funny old edit. I don't know where they got that from. I certainly wasn't laughing at that gag.
Old-fashioned centre-forward strikers the term the commentators use now.
Oh, everybody. Oh. What a lot of wobbly bits. Oh. Dear. Well, what happened next?
They don't see themselves as we see them, do they, often, politicians?
No.
Playing on his own, wasn't he? Isn't that what he does? Doesn't he play on his own, that boy? Oh.
I'm sure it was for charity.
Yes.
To contain it.
I quite fancy it, actually.
As David Coleman would say, let's see if you're right.
Though victory wasn't achieved without some pain.
Oh, it's just so awful. Just so awful.
David Owen there playing football for the SDP in 1984. You can tell it was 1984 because there were 11 people in it. Next, Trevor McDonald, Anne Diamond, Jimmy Savile.
Can I confer with Trevor on it?
It will do you no good.
No, he hasn't any idea either.
Just think back. Have you been...
Do you ever remember the answers on these?
This bit I remember.
I'm not answering that.
I think I suggested he might have slept with some of these people.
The one in the green hat. Now, you must remember. You got drunk, you were in Jellystone Park. I don't know.
The stars were out.
It's odd. I can remember that, but I
I put you out of your misery.
I don't remember Craig ever being on the show. I did a tour of Australia with him once, miserable experience, and about 2 or 3 years before the show began.
When he was Bing Hitler? Or...
When he was Bing Hitler, yes. He's done a couple of films since, which have been very good. Saving Grace, I think, was one.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Well, she's just out of the shower. Saddam Hussein hasn't won a Nobel Prize.
Oh, is this where Angus has a go at Mother Teresa?
I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's have a look.
Saddam Hussein is the only one not to have been awarded the Nobel Prize.
I think I objected after this.
Overlooked by the judges. Gorbachev won the Nobel Peace Prize for so humanely massacring a lot of Lithuanians. Economist Milton Friedman won the Nobel Prize for kindly unleashing monetarism on us. Bless him. And Mother Teresa, or to give her real name, Agnes Bonksa Bajaxiou, won it the same year as she won the All Calcutta Shriveled Walnut Lookalike competition.
Yeah, that was the one.
Well, let's see if
a defining moment for him.
Here we go. Steve Frost there, looking very young.
Milton Friedman.
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein. Yeah, let's get Mother Teresa. Shriveled old walnut. What's she ever done?
It's no good attacking Angus, he's just reading it out.
Albert Schweitzer. Bastard,
Saddam only months from having what?
Gloria Honeyford.
Can't believe this is now.
Long distance, worrying.
It's a nuclear bomb again, isn't it?
It is a A-bomb, yes, I'll give
Incredible.
Well, I mean, it's...
Same report.
So why hasn't he got one now, then, if he was wanting to build one 10 years ago?
It takes a long time.
Does it?
Or when you haven't got any stuff.
No, that's fair comment.
Oh, he's on another quiz show now, isn't he?
Nick Hancock, yeah. They all started on this, you know.
Yeah.
Founded in truth, so you're all right. Hope. Hope is correct, well done. Next, France in despair as Mitterrand loses his what?
Temper and nukes Twickenham.
Nukes in the air.
Is it sexual organs in a car game?
She's in the cabinet, you see. We had real class in those days.
Claire Short, yes.
Quite, it's grip, really, is the answer. So
Yeah, I seem to remember she didn't contribute much.
Labour votes to change what?
Name to Conservative Party.
Did she laugh? Oh, no, she wasn't there.
No, she's turned into Alan Cohen again.
That happens after a while.
Satire, very good. Britain is the answer. And I leave you with some late news. George Best has resolved to give up alcohol and start drinking milk instead.
It's amazing how some stories just are current 10 years later. George Best drinks, used to, alcoholic, Saddam Hussein.
Merry Christmas.
He gave us a laugh for 10 years by being...
Look, what's all that white stuff landing on Angus? He's just chucked away about 80 quid's worth there.
How incredibly prescient.
Riots fear the ringleader may be little Jimmy Osmond.
That's a funny film. No, I don't remember that at all. 92.
And Michael Burke is sacked by the BBC after trying to mate with an ostrich.
Why do these people do it? Oh, he's going to land in something there.
Oh, John Sessions.
Yes.
It's referred to as TV's Mr. Sex. I shall let the audience laugh to tell its own story.
I think history tells it.
Yes.
You know, it costs a great deal of money to get that in.
I'm sure it did. I just said something there. I'm talking over myself from 10 years ago, it doesn't matter.
Almost £20,000 a time is being handed over to celebrities for 5-minute appearances on Friday night with Wogan, as a result of which next week's edition of Have I Got News For You will be presented by Alan Titchmarsh. Leslie Nielsen...
Nice suit.
Oh, this is the brown suit, isn't it? Well, it actually wasn't brown. It only looked brown under the lights. It's actually red.
Brown is tremendously underrated, isn't it? As a colour.
It's very flattering.
It's where the X-Lax comes in. That's what he was talking about right at the start.
Just going to blow my nose to make sure that this gets edited out.
He was very naive, wasn't he?
Yes, very naive.
The words
That's not very
cowardly
British.
arse.
Not is it not been edited out, we're now reviewing it 10 years later on a DVD.
It's going to be the answer to every question. Edit that out.
If you
Brown
will.
suit, brown suit.
I prefer to call it rust, but there we are. Right.
There's Kinnock. Look at him.
We were talking about your brown suit.
Ian and Stephen, it's in a phone call.
I don't know. It's the sort of thing that tabloids spend their time writing about. I don't read it. I have no idea.
Right.
I know we have a royal family, but I never read any more about it. Something to do with them. Have they had another child?
No, it's,
Right. Oh, is it something about Andrew Morton being called an anus horribilis or something?
Yeah, this is
What's the bow tie for, I
by
wonder?
John Major to cover up his
I think
incompetence.
Angus was...
Whenever he's doing something particularly useless, they announced that the royal couple are...
It's totally riveting, that bow tie.
Yes, did he go on to host Come Dancing after this?
No, I think he's going to.
Oh, my God, that's under the hair.
It's Cookie.
About Princess Di. She attracted beautiful young men like moths. And so poor Charles had all these people flapping at the windows as soon as they turned the lights on. There's nothing worse than a man like a moth.
Shouting squidgy through the window. Lie in.
Douglas Adams there on the same show, wow.
Immediately opposite there. That is where we lived.
Just proving you couldn't overdo the imitation.
Yes, it's as... It's as phony now, that moment, as it was then. I love the bit there when he says, do you sell kippers? The bloke should have said, well, get on the plate, I'll see what I get for you. Oh, there's Robbie Bremner.
It did sound like the beginning of a music hall act, didn't it? You know, do you still serve kippers? Well, I'm serving you, ain't I?
Ah, a better joke then than the one I came up with now. I'm obviously not as good as I was.
An ordinary, everyday resident of Brixton. Presumably he was going to douse it in petrol and hurl it at the police.
This soapbox that he's got is a wonderful idea, isn't it? You can see them sort of saying, how can we make him look charismatic? Let's stand him next to a wooden box. Or the message is, vote for this man, he's got a wooden box.
Neil, it's Heil Thatcher. What's that all about?
Oh, this is about one of...
I think I said that the wooden box was more charismatic than
Yeah,
Major
I missed
then.
that. I don't know why that
was a good
wasn't
joke.
Yeah.
One of the few I do remember over the years.
Yes, they've cut that out. Unless we come back to it. No, we won't come back to it, because that was it then. I'll have to sit down and watch this, you know.
Yeah.
And somebody actually plastered or drew a moustache on a picture of Baroness Thatcher. And it was the police have pulled in about 12 million suspects. and do you know, next week, do you know what's going to happen next week? They're going to colour in John Major. So.
Wasn't this one of the first things he did after he lost the election?
And everyone thought, God, if you'd been that funny, we would have voted for you.
A Hitler moustache on the portrait of Mrs Thatcher, oh, Baroness Thatcher, sorry, in the Commons coffee room.
He's got another of those suits on. Is that the same one?
Yes, I think it's the same show, I think it's the brown suit show, I think. I mean, there's lots of running gags over the years, but you tend to sort of not do them too often.
Yeah.
Just enough, you know, a couple of times is enough, really. But...
A couple of hundred in that case.
Yeah.
Official responsibility. No names have been issued. Suffice to say, this studio has been surrounded. Joe, who...
When last seen he was wearing the brown suit.
Yeah. Nothing to do with me, Gav.
Clinton, who's the new president of the United States, has said that he's going to solve the problems of
Public information there.
He's very upset that the Americans are telling us how to run our country, because that's the Germans' job. It is just Bill Clinton.
Now, what are you wearing there?
That's a facsimile of the jacket in The Prisoner television series, Patrick McGowan.
Patrick McGowan.
When he's in New York, he's Bill Clinton.
He was stuck in this institution forever.
I think a mate of mine, Neil Malarkey, had it. I said, can I borrow that next week? I mean, I think we didn't get a clothing allowance then. I think Angus did. But, mind you, you look as if you might be on a clothing allowance at this point.
No, I think we've seen that suit a few times.
Have we?
Seen him in action?
No.
It's not a great fit, to be honest, that suit. The jacket's
plan
not.
to send a peace envoy to Belfast. Clinton said that Americans want to put an end to violence in Ulster. Well, they could stop paying for it, for a start.
Yeah, that's good. Good. I like that joke. Yeah.
Griff!
Oh, yes, I remember this. There's got quite a few complaints, I think.
This is Paul Daniels, isn't it? What he's claiming is, in fact, that all...
I think I try and break in about 15 times before I actually am allowed to get a word in. Let's see.
in fact, the sort of tricks that any old conjurer could do.
Perhaps we should...
So there was the
attempt.
miracle of the sawing the woman in half. Gethsemane.
Perhaps we should crucify Paul Daniels.
Ah, they've cut that, because I think I had several goes to get that in. Anne Robinson looks completely different there.
She didn't say much.
She said she was terrible, wasn't she? I think you had a go at her very early about working for Maxwell.
I think I did.
Jesus Christ was just like him. So,
I wonder if they've left that in.
Broke bread at the Feast of Cana,
No.
turned water into wine, and spoken to the crowd saying, "And that's magic." Paul, ex-MP Harvey Proctor.
No, this might be the Cecil show.
Gary Lineker.
Oh, shirts, yeah.
And
Yeah.
the man currently
Ah,
sitting
there he
on
is.
your right hand.
Do you buy your shirt?
He had a good sense of humour about himself.
Looking pleased with yourself. Do you buy your
I think it was a
shirt off Harvey
tactic.
Proctor?
No idea.
If I laugh first, it won't hurt so much.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Oh, have you scored something like 46 goals for England? No.
That look meant something. I can't remember what it meant now.
Taste. I'd say some of those people left the Tory party after scandals, but...
He's not laughing quite so much at that one.
No, I think that's a bit below the belt.
Below the belt, yes.
Well, oh, yes. Cecil got that one.
Paul, you're...
well, I don't know. Is it...
Do you want your colleague to help you?
Yes.
Yes, I think he does.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Ian, but it's all about the shirts that the people other than Gary Lineker are wearing. We're all alleged to be models for shirts. I was alleged to be about to embark on a new career as a male model, which I never did, would you please say.
Well, it's an interesting answer, because I've actually got a different... No, you're mainly right. It's former MP
Gary
Harvey
Lineker's.
Proctor I've got, as all the others have modelled
I think
shirts,
my
whereas
partner
Harvey
knows.
Proctor
Absolutely.
makes them, and indeed lifts them, onto the shelves of his new shop. Lord Cecil here modelled shirts last year, leading
He just said he
his
didn't.
colleague
Yes.
Julian Critchley.
I think he says that.
No, I didn't.
Ah, well.
Do you believe him? Think of his record. The
Curiously enough,
NHS is safe. I didn't model shirts.
I always fancy modelling them underpants, you know. You know, where you're standing next to another bloke wearing underpants, pretending to look at something far off.
He used to run the TUC and he didn't say a word, did he? He just sat there. Norman Willis.
He seemed to be totally frightened, didn't he? He didn't want to say anything about anybody. One of those guests that make you think, well, why did you come on?
Khashoggi, Mark Thatcher, backed by popular demand, Robert Maxwell, and Sooty.
There is a connection with arms deals, and I'd better be slightly careful here. Maxwell was a crook and an arms dealer, and he's dead and he can't sue.
Where were you when you heard about Maxwell's? Do you remember?
I was in the office.
Were you?
And I couldn't believe it.
By one of those wonderful New York juries. No, you're not a crook. God.
I think it must have been suicide, don't you?
Yeah, I remember feeling very deprived at the time. I thought this isn't a way it should have ended.
Yeah.
Should have been in the dock in a blaze of publicity.
A large personal fortune over the last 10 years through personal merit, and not through being the son of the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Make that clear.
Harry Enfield looked remarkably slim there as well, doesn't he? You forget how people's weight changes.
Just looks so young.
But that doesn't mean anything. Can't judge a bloke by his friends.
And John Diamond.
John
the
Diamond.
late.
Yes, yes.
Or he lost his voice.
Well, I think you've got it, really, haven't you? Unless you're seriously suggesting that Sooty is a major arms dealer. It's Sooty, as all the others have been involved in the buying and selling of arms, whereas Sooty's only contact with arms is when he has one stuck up him. Now, according to The Observer, a report detailing a £10 million arms payoff to Mark Thatcher may have been hushed up by the Comptroller and Auditor General.
This kind of feels like the way the show is now. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
like
it's settled down.
1991 was still slightly strange, but this feels like quite contemporary.
Credits never recorded any election music, but he was there in spirit.
Two brothers fighting on opposite sides, and one sees the other.
I hadn't heard
Did
that.
you think I'd leave you dying when there's room on my horse for two?
She was quite mad, wasn't she?
Fantastic.
Maggie would have shot the wounded one in the head.
So this is presumably an election special or something, is it? This is the first election special we did? There was an election in '92, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Modelled knitting patterns.
Who's that? Steve Steen.
So obvious.
We gave you the clue in pattern.
Is he one of the comedy store players?
Yeah, does a lot of stuff on his own as well, Jim Sweeney.
Have you gone off your head?
And my first tantrum.
Chris Patton? Yes. You could have said they've all been in the army, because you've got Norman Major. They've all been smokers, Eunice Stubbs.
And they've all written almanacs.
Yeah.
Well, I could have given you a point if you'd said it, but unfortunately it's too
They've
late.
all involved in record attempts for the sexual act. That's Roger Moore, isn't it? This is degenerating into a farce.
Betty Maxwell sells what?
Is it very wet three-piece suits?
Oh dear, how embarrassing. I've made myself laugh.
That's terrifically bad taste.
It's not.
Is it it's memoirs.
Yeah,
It's
family
memoirs.
heirlooms.
Bad legs forced Mrs. Thatcher to miss what?
Hip-hop competition.
That's got to be session, isn't it?
Pig in a passage.
Pig in a passage.
Got bandy legs. Couldn't stop a pig in the passage.
It's always good when you explain it, I think.
Yes.
She went to the Falklands. Suddenly there's, oh my God, there's a pig loose. She said, I'll stop it, but it went right through.
I think John sees the image all too clearly.
2 points or
It's
not?
so close.
At least 4.
It's so close, I'll give you 1. Big race is a rather disappointing answer after all that. Next, Mellor in what for 5 years?
Is it brown suit?
Mellor.
Back.
Yeah.
What is he wearing there? That's a real snooker player's outfit,
Yes.
isn't it?
On the M4.
And just saw Frank Skinner sitting next to me, I think, looking like a sort of 50s rocker. We're missing all these jokes, but I mean, we'll have to hear them, and watch it properly.
I'm glad to see that not a smirk has come out
Jan
of
Ravens.
Kennedy's face. It's extremely loyal of him.
Could you just move on to another one, please?
Let's stick on this one. Any more ideas?
Charles Kennedy's first appearance, presumably.
No, an Irish jog is, in fact, a rather curious answer.
Yeah. I can't think of any...
Being loyal to his leader.
Television for that one. Daddy.
That was Alan Corrin again.
And I leave you with news that Labour and the Conservatives may be close to reaching an electoral pact after Norman Tebbit is seen emerging from lunch with Roy Hattersley.
The producers never forgave him, did they?
No. Well, that's sort of it's interesting. Yeah, that's 92. So that's 3 series in. So, or was it 4 by then? We probably did
So we
4
have
by
got some
then.
vaguely
4.
new titles.
Yes. I think these ones went on forever, though, didn't they? Didn't we have these ones for years? To be honest, I never really noticed them. Because when they play them in the studio, you're not thinking of looking at the monitor and...
No, just listening to the music makes me feel nervous.
Yes.
In the news this week, there are concerns that Yasser Arafat's long absence from his wife may be having an adverse effect.
We've done men kissing men jokes. We've had that already. What's the point of putting that in? Oh, hello.
I suppose that is quite good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Diana and Camilla Parker Bowles find a novel way of settling their differences.
Couldn't do that now.
No. Attempted to get on this show by sleeping with one of the team captains. Tonight we have someone who's not just slept with one, but even went as far as marrying him. Caroline Quentin.
Yes.
This looks happy.
I don't mind you saying all that, but why did I have to sleep with you as well?
It's just in the contract, I'm afraid. But thank you anyway.
It's all right. Isn't this some EC regulation that they're going to ban smutty postcards? You know, sort of
I can explain this. I know what this one's going to be.
Policemen with their trousers round their ankles and thin vicars with their bums showing. You're going to say no, aren't you, after I've said all that?
I'm not vicars with their bum showing.
I beg your pardon?
I've never seen a postcard with thin vicar with a bum showing.
You want to get out more.
Now, at that time, when we recorded this play, that was one of the things I used to say all the time, you ought to get out more. And so when she said it back to me, I've been saying it for weeks in various situations, you know. And I don't know what's happened there, but it completely threw me.
The private goes public.
Yeah.
I will wait, no.
No, you bloody have to after this behaviour.
Ian, shall we let them sit together?
I was going to recommend a good lawyer.
I bet you know a few. No, you don't, actually, do you?
I feel as if I'm in the middle of a situation comedy here.
It's only a question of time, Angus.
Well, we had the vicar.
Yes, I didn't look very happy there.
No.
Goodbye.
Hello.
Oh, this is the show.
Original agreement that this would be the only television programme I've been in 10 years where I didn't say anything. Or can I say something now?
Yes, please, go ahead. It's open forum.
You know...
Thank you.
The worst show we ever did, this one.
Yeah. Those two just spat poison at each other.
They hated each other, didn't they?
They were at sister schools in Liverpool or something.
Yeah, she's saying it now, I think.
We were both at school in Liverpool, and I used to have an accent just like him. Can you imagine?
Well, what sort of accent is that?
Well, it got me into Oxford. Where did it get you, Derek?
Certainly not into Oxford.
Ooh. Well, it's an interesting answer.
From a not very interesting person.
We think it's November 1990.
Yes, we do.
And we reckon that the real loser was John Major's dentist.
Yeah, that wasn't very convincing, was it?
Well, Margaret wasn't convinced by it, I can tell you.
There you heard it first on Have I Got News for You?
Yes.
John Major, a bit of a phony.
No, he...
Pretending he had toothache when he should have been supporting Maggie. First time I've ever liked him.
At the crucial point, John Major conveniently
No, I don't know what's happened to his hair here.
Teeth taken out before she kicked
It
them
looks
out.
worse there than it does now, actually.
In his diary,
I don't
Alan
look very
Clark
happy.
complained that she had
Were you
been
happy
brought
sitting
down
next to
by a
Derek?
bolus of
No, I thought it was the low point of my career. He'd just been found innocent by a jury of corruption charges in Liverpool.
I always thought it was a cabinet.
I believed the opposite at the time, but, you know, one can be so wrong.
Joe, a night to dismember.
Well, I don't know if it is actually about this, but I'd like it to be, because it's a good story. About that woman in America who cut off her husband's penis while he was asleep because he hadn't
Wayne
put the
Bobbitt.
shelves up very well or something like that.
I think Joe should have liked this story.
You should have just used a spirit level.
Hello, what's happened to me there? Got freckles. I don't look very well there.
No, it's a serious skin complaint.
She drove off and threw it out of the window. Apparently, he's had it sewn back on. And his name was Wayne Bobbitt, and it's now Wayne Bobbitt very gently, or it might fall off.
It was confusing. He said, it's out on the road somewhere, go and find it. He sort of like...
Now, is Angus about to have a go at Frank Boff over some...
Possibly.
That's what actually happened, and he complained after 3 days because he kept making holes in his underpants.
Where did you read this?
In Fantasyland.
Yes, I don't look... I look terrible.
If your sexual organs were a hedgehog, though, because they'd go to sleep every 6 months. Yeah, so what's new?
That's why you've heard happy.
You know, women breastfeeding in public. I mean, you'd sooner have something to complain about if we had to take our trousers down in 5 minutes and put a saucer of milk down there.
Yes,
and breadcrumbs.
Was this 93, this
God
series?
knew what he was doing.
It was, yeah. I think I was on tour then. I think that's probably sort of... I don't look as if I've had any sunshine for... Oh,
No.
Half an hour on a giraffe.
Living dead.
Not now. I haven't got time, really, do I?
The 24...
Wouldn't mind half an hour on a giraffe, though. Very sexy animals, giraffes.
You don't need to tell me.
Yeah, they can see the police coming, so by the time you sort of get there, you can...
I'm not happy with that at all. We'll have to do something. Can we go back in time and change that?
Yeah,
it's
skin
on-
graft.
Yeah.
I used to go out with a giraffe. Just to take it to the pictures and that. You'd always get some bloke behind complaining he couldn't see the screen. It's a giraffe, mate. What do you expect? Well, you can take his hat off for a start.
It just occurred to me that John Simpson is no stranger to the weed. He has danced naked in the jungle with something up his ooter. Well, he's worse than the odd one out because he doesn't do stuff.
It is a perfect answer, yes.
This would be worth watching.
To chip in?
It's true.
No. Yes, you can set the world to rights.
I was in the jungle. I was in the jungle.
There was nothing on the telly, I was bored.
Half-naked savages came towards me waving implements. That was the television crew. They boiled up some stuff. I thought... I drank it. I thought I was going to see the secret of the universe. But it's actually true that a 6-foot goldfish put his flipper around my shoulders. I think this is the time to tell you he had dark glasses and a straw hat on.
Sounds like your sketch show.
How's it going, man?
John Simpson, BBC News.
Somewhere in Babylon.
We were hoping to be joined by the Right Honourable Roy Hattersley, but sadly, and for the third time in our brief history, he's pulled out at the last minute due to having something better to do. So, as his replacement, liable to give much the same performance, and imbued with many of the same qualities, we're delighted to welcome a tub of lard.
Do you remember when the producer said,
Yes, I
We're
was
going to have a tub of lard.
I was making the sketch show at the same time, and he phoned me up and said, you know, do you want help? Hat disease pulled out. Do you mind if a tub of lard does it tomorrow? I said, yeah, fine. I put the phone down and didn't give it a moment's thought until I got there. I thought, oh no, it really is.
Solve riddle of the.
I said that's a terrible idea. It'll never work. Get anybody. That's quite wrong.
He's only just seen it. He can't see the monitor from there anyway, look.
It's a lovely Cecil, isn't it? Cecil Parkinson. Of course, Cecil Parkinson, a lot of people don't know, was actually a joiner prior to him going to the Parliament. And he was actually going to go back to that when he lost his position in the Cabinet. But he learned a very valuable lesson while he was there, that one loose screw collapsed the Cabinet.
It's not working. I cut to the song.
Terrible joke.
Well, it's a bit unfair. It's just a pair of legs there called Christina, which, I mean, it could be anyone, couldn't it?
It's the mysterious Christina.
Cindy Crawford. I mean, it could be Princess Di. Could have been you, Frank, at one time.
Why did he come on the show?
It's a small libel, but I let it pass.
Can't I do a big one?
My reading of libel was that it had to be untrue, Frank.
2 weeks ago, in our Odd One Out round, whilst referring to Miss Simone Hyams making love to the film director Mr. Michael Winner, we alleged Miss Hyams said Mr. Winner's boyfriends were unwashed. We accept Miss Hyams did not say this. We would like to emphasise that Mr. Winner's underpant hygiene is of the very highest calibre.
But when she said they were unwashed, they just might have been new.
That's true. That's doubtless the case, I think.
I don't think you should apologise. I think we should go to trial and see if the underpants stand up in court.
But the lawyers made them read that out.
Yes, ludicrously so.
Is Batman the odd one out? Because all the others have published books about cats and are notorious cat lovers.
Well, I'll give you one, because you got it absolutely...
I told the wife.
Amanda Platel, she went on to advise William Hague.
Yes. She was
how to win the election.
Yeah, she was a journalist at the time, wasn't she?
Yeah, I'll give you one because you got the...
Is that the same one as you gave me earlier?
Yeah. I think I've still got that shirt.
But I'll give
That's Mira Sayel, isn't it?
Yes, long before, goodness gracious me. Maybe in a radio show at this point.
You animal!
I thought it was the dog saying, "Return to your constituency and prepare my dinner."
Paul and the tub of lard. Here are your headlines, which, as it's our last show, have something of an international flavour. Monsieur Clinton s'apprêterait de changer what?
Right, well, bearing in mind that I did metal work... Monsieur Clinton.
People don't believe the metalwork.
No.
Stephen Fry came up to me a couple of years ago and said, it's all like those jokes you do about doing metalwork. I said, no, it's true. And he said, no, not really. I said, yes, I did metalwork. It's a completely useless subject. And I don't know why. CSE level as well.
Did you fail it?
Yeah, totally. Ungraded. Ungraded.
That is quite an achievement.
That's very bad. You can't do worse. If you didn't do the exam, well, that's what you get.
If anyone's interested, I can make a trowel.
Well, that's a lie. I can't even make a trowel.
An ungraded trowel.
Yes, yes. Dreadful waste of time.
Is it director of...
Yes, your director de la communication is absolutely right.
I think we got that.
We got that.
Die Bank von England gibt große what zu?
Well, I don't know. Is it...
Could be. That's the guess I'd have said.
Yeah, we know this. I know this. Die Bank van England gießt große Stinkpensen der britische Filmendirektor and his wife Zoo.
A brilliant repetition of the libel.
Yes. Yes.
9. It's Besorgnis. Is the.
Bless you.
I'm amazed you didn't get.
I'm not in one of John Simpson's trips. sitting here with a tub of lard trying to answer questions in German.
It's a good point.
It's a very good point. And you win, though.
Well, I think it had to be.
Well, we shan't ask another one in German.
Well, good.
Next, what kak symbol Yavrotsky Zasi?
And he's a linguist.
Because the second word's cack.
Who's the linguist? Angus, is he?
That's where he got his degree in.
No.
Some of those letters are upside down. Look.
They like it like that.
What's that one at the end? It looks like a sort of seagull flying off. Look.
It's Russian.
That's an A.
Oh, it's Russian. Oh, I do beg your pardon.
It's Russian. They're allowed to do that.
Is it Yeltsin?
Yeltsin?
No.
Is it Yeltsin? What? I must have been off sick the day we did this at school.
Pretend grumpiness.
The tub of lard's no bloody good, look. This is made in the EEC here. I've not had a word out of it.
Is it perestroika or something? Or something
it's
like
nothing even
Big
remotely
Mac,
like
potato.
that. It's slightly closer to home. It's actually Lord Owen.
No.
Next up is... Wakiho Kaisei Kyo what?
Is it bean fried rice?
It's actually...
Gary Lineker.
Sairitsu is actually the answer I was looking for, which means...
What does that word mean?
Labour Standard Law.
Oh, of course.
And finally, what?
This was the last in the series, I think.
Fish found on moon. Antelope on bicycle. Potato cures baldness. Claims mad vicar.
Is it TV's Angus shagging Merton's wife?
It's close. It's actually DLT.
See the theme at the time.
It's obvious, isn't it?
Someone else's.
The final showdown seems to have ended with the hardly satisfactory conclusion that this week's down and outs are Ian and Tony with 16, and this week's upwardly mobiles are Paul and the tub of lard with 20.
He's getting rather sad when I can't win against Paul when he's accompanied by a tub of lard and the questions are in a foreign language. That was genuine sadness. I feel like Graham Taylor.
And I leave you with news that London Zoo today announced the birth of the world's first showbiz chicken. There's uproar as the security services raid Margaret Thatcher's fridge. And finally, Virginia Bottomley performs her famous shadow puppet of a Thai prostitute.
Yes, this is... I got a big laugh, I seem to remember.
You know when you didn't turn up
After a couple of seconds.
Where? Here.
But I thought you were to be here before.
Yeah, you never guessed what we did. Did you hear about it?
It was a terrible disappointment to me, because I thought we were going to get a great barrel with staves.
Well, you're here now, anyway.
There's a shock for Kenneth Clark when he's invited onto the Today programme on April 4th.
No, his skid doesn't look good there now.
No.
And a Leicestershire woman caught speeding on the M6 becomes the first victim of the Conservatives' new Get Tough on Crime policy.
Oh, isn't that nice?
He's auditioning for the BT commercials.
That's the other one. Oh, and that's the other one. Who isn't going to get it?
Yes, it is the now official, apparently, Labour leadership contest. Tony Blair and Gordon Brown have already been dubbed within the Labour Party the Beautiful People. But then, given their main rivals are Margaret Beckett and Robin Cook, it's not that surprising. Many Labour MPs feel that
They're
Tony...
not auditioning for Baywatch, Angus. This is a job to lead the Labour Party.
Well, they're the ones who are dubbed the Beautiful People. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it.
Shifting blame.
Beautiful people.
No, you carry on with your lookist rubbish. Go on, say Robin Cook looks like a garden gnome. I bet that's coming up.
Robin Cook, of course, looks like a garden gnome. Did work very well, thank you very much.
They love it.
Paul and Neil, a family affair for you.
He's given a lawnmower a scene to there, isn't he?
Oh, this is an extraordinary story, isn't it?
reckon
the coven, isn't it?
Yeah. Drunk and go for a full house.
What a bunch of slappers, honestly. Don't you think that when they flew in, thought, sad old cuckold and a couple of hard-faced slappers? It takes a lot to make one sympathise with Alan Clark, but this pathetic lunatic judge, you know he wasn't allowed citizenship in South Africa because he's too right-wing for them. He's a member of the Monday Club over here. He disappears off to South Africa. 14 years later, he comes back because his wife and both daughters have had it away with Clark, saying, I'm looking for justice. Bloody whites coming over here.
Obviously made you angry.
Obviously. I was particularly stroppy because I had appendicitis.
During this recording?
Yeah, I'd spent the whole of this day in a corridor in St George's Hospital on a trolley, waiting to be seen. And I thought, I could miss the show, but I could just discharge myself. So I went out the door, got a cab, and turned up.
And then did you go back in afterwards?
Straight after the show ended, I went back to the hospital and I had it whipped out overnight.
Shows dedication.
That's Kenneth Clark. I think that's meant to be a metaphor for the government.
Well spotted.
Hello to a new government and goodbye to the existing one.
That's Helen Atkinson Wood, isn't it?
You and my friends, the Wintertons.
Ex-girlfriend of Angus's?
I think that's right.
Oh, Teddy Taylor, yes. Lots of people spoke about this.
To spend money destroying 130,000 tonnes of cauliflowers. That's what we're discussing.
He definitely hadn't seen the show before he came on.
No, he had no idea. He's come along to talk about his anti-EC stance.
We want you to destroy one cauliflower. And he had a researcher who he asked afterwards, do you think I got my points across?
Which way are you going to vote, then? You'll
Which
be
he did.
I wanted to give more cash to the EC. If you see the amount of money which is spent, there was just a story just the other day about a brass plate company in Italy who got 1.7 million lira for delivering non-existent fruit juice to NATO headquarters in Palermo. Now, you can't give money for this kind of thing. It's just daft. I think it is, anyway. I could tell you more about this cauliflower business.
No, but you did get the Chancellor. The Chancellor of the Exchequer said that, you know, the Euro budget
he made a mistake.
cost so
He made an honest mistake. I mean, he said that the amount we're going to have to give this year is £700 million more than...
Yes, I've fallen asleep.
It's actually cost you... It's £1 a week. It's £1.
He just didn't have a clue, though.
He wasn't looking at me at all. He wasn't looking at me at all.
Well, these mistakes can happen.
He hasn't spotted. Quick glance up the camera. He doesn't know why people were laughing. Like, it could be I'm not there. It could be a split screen, couldn't it?
Because in a moment we'll be going out live.
But he didn't stop there, did he?
No.
It was the threat,
He
as I
kept
think
going.
someone mentioned, that if they lose the Commons Euro...
Didn't you try and hang yourself?
I did. I wonder if that's going to be in this, because there was a...
The pact will be enforced if the Tory rebels have their way, although if John
We'll
Major...
see. I mean, I thought maybe it was then.
Bloody good shot.
No, you obviously thought you hadn't had enough of it.
Not kind at all.
No, it's quite funny, though, isn't it? Ian and Hugh, who's this, without naming names?
Oh, perhaps he's coming back.
Yeah, maybe.
This guy doesn't want to be named. He's won 18 million.
Oh, God, this was his guy in Blackburn,
And he
wasn't
doesn't want anyone to know who he is or where he lives, which means it must be Salman Rushdie.
Ball tempering.
It's mad.
Ray Illingworth.
I think this is Raymond Illingworth's...
The man himself.
Salman Rushdie. There was a... Do you remember the night he came on and Angus at the top of the show was just introducing people as they were coming out and he said, and on Paul's team tonight, Salman Rushdie. It was a huge laugh followed by a gasp when it actually was Salman Rushdie.
Yeah.
This was the height of his...
A lot of the audience was shifting around uncomfortably, thinking, am I the target now?
Well, he told me a story afterwards. He said, well, he had to get permission, because at the time he was being looked after by the police, and he had to get permission to, I want to go to this party, and they say, well, our shift isn't, we can't cover you for this night, so you'd have to stay at the safe house. But when they heard it was Have I Got News for You, they said, oh, no, we'll come along to that, we like that. So it was only because his detectives liked the show that he came on. He was allowed to come on.
Taking a huge and he said afterwards he had his son then. He said it was the only thing he'd ever done to impress him. Forget the fatwa and all the novels. This was the one.
You're wearing a letter L for some reason. Oh, hello. I've gone a bit David Cassidy there.
That drugged appearance, doesn't
Yes,
it?
Do you think so?
I was having there was a thing going around that it was me for a
spat of irritation about people telling me to wear AIDS ribbons.
Oh, right.
As though it was compulsory.
Yes.
And my mother was ill with leukemia, so I thought I would put on a white L. It's an unsexy disease that old people get.
Yes.
And there didn't seem to be anybody touting for funds for it.
Did anybody pick up on it at all?
Yeah, a few people wrote about it. I think leukemia sufferers were quite happy.
I think the link
They all
is...
sold stories to the paper apart from the Mirror pensioners.
That is the correct answer.
Yet again, you jumped in with the answer in a...
Well, this is the competitive streak, isn't it, you see? But we both... I mean, you have to play it, I think, for real. You know, it gives it a sort of... It gives the quiz element a sort of genuine sort of feel of competitiveness, if you are...
That
sort of...
tension about who will win.
Yeah. Well, there's not really a tension, is there? There's a foregone conclusion.
Oh, there's Kathy Lett. That was Angus's contempt of court.
Oh, yes, of course it was, yes.
For one moment it looked like he might be off to prison for a spirich.
Now you say it.
Who's that?
Donna McPhail.
It's a cookery cook. Seems so obvious, doesn't it? Namely, eggs, flour and tomatoes.
Do you get a point for picking out Prince Charles as the odd one out?
Yeah, strictly speaking, I suppose you do, really, yes.
Yeah, but it's not your go.
Oh, well...
Salmon, you should get out more. You're a bit antisocial. Dear me.
Got anywhere nice for your holidays this year?
The bathroom.
The losers start, so Paul and
Well,
Dave...
we're losing, but we're not losers yet.
No, but you're...
David Icke.
Losing at the moment. Well, there's
Nick
7
again.
points in it.
We need a miracle, David. I had no memory of him being on the show at all. Do you remember David Icke being on the show?
No, none at all.
Bless you, my child.
Our guest publication this week, from which 1 or 2 headlines are taken.
What's happened to the hair there? It's been sort of like a bit blow-dried. There's a bit of Stan Laurel at the front there, isn't it?
Arthritis news. Britain has more what than people?
Socks.
That's Eddie's voice, isn't it?
Yeah. A surreal touch coming in.
Answer, completely right. Next, Northern Ireland welcomes what?
Tourists who don't read the newspapers or watch television.
Stupid Americans with a lot of money.
Is not right.
New arthritis clinic.
It's not a bad guess. Arthritis care is actually the answer.
Shirt is just one of those shirts. It's just abysmal.
So is that tie. I mean, really.
The time, Paul, well, even you have to admit that the fact that you browse through arthritis weekly just so you can win at what is nothing more than a dressed-up parlour game is deeply sad.
Jonathan Ross attacking dressed-up parlour games.
And also, he wants to win more than anybody.
Collaborators.
Served him very well since.
Do you agree with that?
No, actually, it's a wee bit unfair because, some of the French people some of the French people fought very hard indeed,
The next time he spoke in the Houses of Parliament, a number of backbenchers behind him made nooses and hanged themselves.
Yes, I heard that. Yes.
It became what you do when Teddy Taylor talks. I still don't think he knows, though.
I wonder if he might not even have bothered to watch the show.
No, I shouldn't think so. He also went on about something called reggae.
Yes.
That he thought we wouldn't have heard of.
Big Bob Marley fan.
Yeah.
But against this nonsense,
very peculiar.
Destroying jobs, putting up prices, and creating all these problems. That's what we should concentrate on, and that's why.
Concentrate on. We've heard nothing else all night.
Well, Patrick Nichols is a very nice guy. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's wrong to do this kind of thing. Opinion is changing. People are getting fed up to the teeth with what's going on.
With what?
With these. I'll tell you with what. Goodness gracious me.
He really did think it was question time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't bring in politics to this, but I'm not kidding.
No. Oh, no, do it. Make a change. Nottingham Biggie's find decapitated head in cupboard. Puppet squad, nobody move.
I used to, yeah... Oh, hello.
Someone saying, "Get off, Mr. Mellor, it's a bus."
Oh, that was Lee Hurst with some hair just at the top.
Before he went on to do another panel game.
Is he saying, do you know, I think my headache's gone?
I expect they got a few complaints.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I leave you with the report that the Aga Khan was not impressed when his servants forgot to fill his swimming pool. And Princess Diana...
On those photos they found you couldn't actually believe.
Yeah.
There were a lot of Diana jokes in those days, weren't there?
Yes, and I noticed the one Diana and Charles behind him on the board.
Is the lawyer going to leave in that bit about the Maxwell brothers being heartless, scheming bastards? Well, nothing personal, Angus. Contempt of court has a statutory 2-year imprisonment.
I was there, Your Honour. I heard him say it, Your Honour.
I was actually trying to save him at this point. I don't know why.
Sentence, Your Honour.
For what?
Right. TV's Mr. Wandsworth Prison.
I'd just been done myself for contempt of court and fined £20,000, so, and given a really severe warning by the Court of Appeal. So I thought, you know, they're pretty hard on this. Angus might get sent to jail. But in the end, they just named the company and the BBC.
So what was it? What your contempt for? What was that for? Who would you?
It was the wife of the Yorkshire Ripper.
Ah, yes.
They'll be out your Jacksy before you can take
I was actually tried for contempt in a Maxwell case, but I was let off that time. Thoroughly innocent, at least once.
Yes, all this stuff here is sort of post-recording, isn't it?
Yes, and I didn't think he thought it wasn't going out.
Oh, what a shame we're not recording.
And here we are some 8 years later.
The end of the Tory sleaze, isn't it, these headlines?
Yes.
Three in a bed and...
God, there were so many stories, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was meant to represent anybody particular, just somebody in there.
No, just an MP,
Generic
I think.
MP.
Just a Tory.
Yeah.
We're right at the fag end of the major government here, aren't we?
On Newsnight, after someone slips a tab of LSD into Peter Snow's coffee.
Good look.
And a strange discovery is made in Michael Barrymore's cellar.
Oh.
That's
God, well, that's distinctly poor taste now.
Yes.
Do you think it's any way a slur on your brother, the way in which she's being so complimentary about Tony Blair?
I haven't got a brother.
Oh, he was quite fun, wasn't he?
Oh, yes, Terry.
Terry Major Ball.
They always have some embarrassing relative. I mean, Blair's got his father-in-law, Tony Booth, and Maggie had Mark. There's always someone in the family to ask on, isn't there?
Yes.
He was rather sweet, Terry.
She's a silly cow.
He was. I quite liked him.
Never say that about any lady.
But Mrs. Thatcher?
Now you're trying to trap me, Angus.
He wrote the most amazing book. I suppose
read
he was
it.
on to plug it.
Yes.
A lot about squirrels.
It was very funny. There was a...
Yes. Chat amongst ourselves.
That's what people want. They want a good chat. It's all they want.
Yes. You could talk about that new magazine that's come out in opposition to Private Eye.
That's right, yeah.
What was that?
Sorry.
A new magazine?
No one's heard of it, Terry.
No, Private Eye, it's a magazine. You must have seen it.
What's the rival he's talking about?
There have been so many. I think it was probably Scallywag or one of those mags.
It cost 90 pence when
he was
a boy, but it's £1 now. That's when I stopped
A lot more than that now.
It went up to £1.
Oh, really?
I still read it, but I go into Smith's.
And steal it. Only takes 10 minutes, doesn't it?
You can photocopy it for less than £1, actually.
Oh, rather shocking in its way, this.
Yes.
How can you resign from a newspaper that never employed you? I was just writing a column for them. I just won't be writing anymore.
I should explain that Germaine has had a terrific spat with another writer on The Guardian. And she ended up calling a fellow feminist...
Suzanne Moore?
Yeah.
Who had bird's nest hair, 3 fat inches of cleavage.
Yeah, it's a great adjective, the fat inches.
Yes.
Only Germaine would have called an inch fat. That's why it was so brilliant.
Actually incorrect. What I actually said was that women who are self-destructive, in particular those women whose self-image is so low that they cannot appear in public without their hair birds nested all over the place, 3 inches of exposed cleavage and fuck-me shoes. I didn't actually name anybody.
This was in a piece about Suzanne Moore, though, wasn't it?
Well, she had been named...
I mean, I hate to put 2 and 2 together.
She had been... You see, look, what really happened was...
Why would shoes want to be fucked anyway?
It's amazing we got away with all this stuff.
It is incredible, isn't it?
Shoes are a signal.
What sort of shoes are you wearing, Jermaine?
Don't fuck me, shoes. Leave me alone, shoes, or I'll kick you in the face, shoes.
You're just checking.
You know... Can you get fuck me socks?
They did a trade-off on this, didn't they?
Yes.
There are only a certain number of fucks allowed.
Yes.
You open them at Christmas and you go, fuck me, socks!
I think the deal was you were allowed that gag.
I think so. No, there's a couple more, I think. Oh, no, that was it.
The case with that poor prostitute who I felt very sorry for.
The Spike. Yes, I think he was trying to get onto the show for ages, actually, and they weren't sure whether to have him or not. But I had a chat with one of the producers one day. I said, but it's Spike Milligan. You know, if he wants to come on, he must come on, even if he is a bit frail now.
I think they were worried he'd say something stupid, which he, of course, did.
Yes, that's right.
He had to go at Jeffrey Archer. I mean, he had to go here, but then, typical, they've cut this bit out. Weasley, producer. Spike actually said Archer was a crook.
Which, of course, legally he wasn't in those days.
And they bleeped it. But Spike had decided at his age he didn't care what he said.
Yeah.
The E. coli 157 bacteria...
Did Spike live to see him in jail? He did, didn't he?
Yes, he did, yeah.
Oh, well, that's a small consolation.
I think this is this McDonald's? Is this things that have been found in kitchens? McDonald's inventing a new cheeseburger that's got the back legs of a mouse. You order it, it comes walking.
People always thought McDonald's were going to sue, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they do have a tendency to do, but presumably all this was cleared on the night, because people watching this may not know, but we do have sort of lawyers in attendance while the show's being recorded. I think all Angus's script has gone through with a legal tooth comb, and then...
it's things found, isn't it?
Yes.
So then all our ad-libs are subjected to sort of legal scrutiny, aren't they, as well?
They have all allegedly been found in...
No, he's still saying allegedly, as though it made any difference. He's a slow learner, that boy, isn't he?
Is there a beef burger there? There isn't, is there?
I thought that alone would have got them going, but...
Well,
no.
let's not draw their attention to it at this stage.
It must be the one... I'd remember that one on the bottom left. I mean... It's nibbling the lettuce. Well, I don't know. The back legs of a mouse.
Ian, you want to have a try?
I must be the... You know, the Jeffrey Archer.
The raw sewage. Yes, is the right answer, so you'll have to share the points.
Who's that? Bob Mills, who was a stand-up at that point now. I think he's done he's become a producer. He produced a film that... what's her name was in? Julie Walters. Last year won a couple of awards.
Without food being contaminated, or there would have been a brave man who tried the chocolate milkshake that afternoon.
And that's Alex Salmon.
Yes, it's his first appearance. Yes, he's sort of one of those politicians who always had a very high opinion of his own sense of humour. Not always matched by the general public.
For a major outbreak of food poisoning.
And now he's not even leader of the SNP. I don't know what happened to him.
No, he's probably presenting some show up in Scotland. Anglin Kilbride or something.
In 1989, McDonald's apologised to a customer who found a nematode...
No, salmon fishing, that's what it's called. That's clearly what it's called.
That the worm was perfectly harmless because it was dead. Presumably because it had eaten some E. coli bacteria. In 1992, Eric...
Still on with this, on.
Yes, this must be very funny, all this bit. That's the reason why they've got it in.
Or the producer wrote it and he's left it in.
Yes, that's probably more like it, yes.
You can usually tell with a long bit.
Yeah.
Is it breast implants?
Oh, this is Paula, isn't it? Yes.
Nice to see that history records you brought up the breast implants.
Yes, at this point, yes. This was the most talked about show we did at this point. It wasn't. It's not the most talked about show now, but...
It's a big secret, though, isn't it, your breast?
Extraordinary.
You didn't like her being on this show, did you, Ian?
Well, what I didn't like was the hypocrisy. I mean, if you watch this bit, I didn't do any jokes about tits. That's you and Angus. What I joked about was the fact that she'd sold the sterilisation rights of her book the week she was on this show, and the book was about me and my tit operation.
And this is the reason why she's on the show,
Yeah.
because of the book.
Please stop being unkind. Don't be unkind.
And she was sort of furious about the media not playing on her own terms. And at the time, she wasn't sad and pathetic and drugged up and nearly dead, and she seemed fair game, particularly on that point. You know, with the later history as it was, the Guardian's women's page decided I was a sort of misogynist who liked beating up women and should be damned for all time.
I mean, you can see sort of like, perhaps my expression at times where I'm sort of, my panic is sort of like, oh, it's meant to be a light entertainment show and everything's meant to be jolly, so I'm sort of constantly trying to...
You're not going jogging, are you?
There's an example there, trying to think of jokes.
Yeah.
All the time. To try and sort of... My instinct is, you know, when the audience are booing, it's not a good gig.
Yeah. No, and you said your capacity is to judge the audience, but, I mean, you know me, I'm not actually that bothered by the audience.
Sure.
And sometimes I thought the point that needed to be made here was one of humbug, really. Not just tits.
It is the wrong answer. It is. All of them are the proud owners of plastic breasts, with the exception of the late oil billionaire.
No, but she got very, very stroppy.
Who didn't own any.
Yes, it was funny. After the show, she came and said anytime anyone's after the recording, any of the guests sort of knocked on my door. She said, "I'm just going off now," she said, "but thank you very much. I enjoyed it, and thanks for looking after me." She said, "I said fine." And there was her, me, and Michael Hutchins just standing in the corridor. You know, the three of us.
Yeah.
And within just a few short years, you know,
all dead.
Well.
Honestly, Angus, how can you say
You're right, I haven't got a pulse.
Yeah.
The truth is, we don't know what the truth
Yeah,
is.
how do you know? How do you
I'm trying to defend her here, I think.
Well, I know that, but I mean...
She'd written so many of those instant books at the time.
Yes. Yes, you're not interested about the audience there, which is, I think, is fair enough.
No, I gather it took you 6 days to write this book. You get writer's block or something?
You say one more thing, he's going to hit you.
No, I will and all. I'll take great pleasure in thumping my fist into that great face of yours.
It doesn't really make much sense as a sentence, but it was the first thing that
the
came
emotion was there.
Well, I'd
though.
suddenly been thrown into a fight.
So, Paula, put us right then. Is that all wrong? Did you not have breast enlargement operation at the beginning of your relationship with Michael?
Yes.
I love that interruption from a member of the audience.
Yes.
So much for sisterhood.
When you go along, do they give you like a wallpaper
So much
chart?
for sisterhood.
Forget the gags, Paul. Nobody's listening to the gags.
Yeah, more humbug. Appealing to a woman's solidarity that's non-existent.
Yes.
I can't believe it!
Who's Helena Christensen?
I honestly didn't know who Helen Christensen is. I hadn't followed this story at all, so I had no idea who Helen
See,
Christensen
when you go along, do you get like a wallpaper
Here we are. Last he's getting to the joke he's thought of.
That look quite good with a sideboard, actually. I might do that.
Do you really want to know?
Or do you take a bowler hat along and say, can you give us 2 of those?
But then I got done in The Guardian for being intrusive about a woman's body. I didn't mention them.
No, but I think they'd heard there'd been a bit of a rumpus, but didn't have a tape at hand.
Yeah.
I really despise you now.
We've despised him for ages.
Well, sorry for Gordon in the middle of this
Yeah,
as well.
what's that?
Gordon Kennedy. He was actually doing quite a good show, but...
Stop it! Stop it! Don't say another word or I'm coming over there.
Were you frightened at this point, or...?
No. Look.
The full force of my operation.
Hello, Paula.
Angus.
No, she said earlier it's you really know how to woo a woman, and it never occurred to her that one might not want to woo her.
Yes.
Her only response was to appeal to men in a very straightforward way.
Of the devil.
No, this...
And
You know when she said that, she's used the wrong term.
I did, and I was just waiting, and I thought, all right, I'll say it.
he was drinking
Even
milk.
your insults
and it was
emanate from
it was
the
a miracle
genitals.
because he was
Usually, though, that got cut out. Glad to see it restored.
This is the Mike Yarwood show, is it? Oh, yes, there he is, looking well.
Who'd have thought? Harold Wilson.
Oh, this was unbelievable you did this. The only reason Yarwood had been invited on the show was to do Harold Wilson, and you did it.
Yes, I know.
They can be quite short, can't they?
Yeah.
Well, I think, as I said at the Brighton conference in 1968...
Not bad.
Well, it gave him nowhere to go.
I know.
He'd already done his imitation about as well as he does.
Yes, I know.
I didn't know Harold Wilson was Welsh. Why do I feel my career has ended?
And astonishingly,
Oh, God, is this
another
bit?
voice from yesteryear, Eddie Waring, the late, great rugby league
Mike
commentator.
Yarwood was doing.
See now, we used to commentate on the rugby up in our park.
This makes me laugh.
And I'll tell you.
It's like being a teenager at home watching it, isn't it?
Still, I mean, you know, then when we grew up, we watched Mike Yarwood. Now you watch Christine Hamilton impersonating Uri Geller on a desert island in Australia.
Yeah.
You must be Jimmy Somerville soon.
It must be.
Incredibly, the random selection is 70s heartthrob Melvin Bragg.
This is him doing an impression of himself.
It's not very good.
Do it at all.
Neither can Melvin.
No. on the South Bank show this evening...
Dreadful, I hated that. That was awful.
George Harrison.
OK, do George Harrison instead.
Well, the thing about the Beatles was...
That's not bad. I think you'd probably make a Lily Savage remark here.
That's Lily Savage.
There. The only person you've heard from Liverpool.
Could have been Scylla.
Yes, I'm sure you can. Thank you.
Could have been Alistair McGann. This is pre-him.
Would you like to try Melvin Bragg?
Yeah, it goes something like this.
That's fine, thank you.
You shouldn't have cut him off there. He was going to do a funny impression of himself.
Well, I hope he still is.
Well, there wasn't really an impression, was it?
Well, I did it. They used to do it at the end of Spitting Image. They got it right before the South Bank show. They said, Adele, the South Bank show. Please do not forget to turn off your sets.
It's not easy to do yourself. That's
I remember that joke.
Very good. Well,
unless you're very lonely.
Yeah.
You're single-handedly responsible for keeping his name in front of the public.
Yes, out of all those it could have chosen, it's the familiar...
Though I think he finds the joke completely unfunny now.
Oh, does he?
Don't leave me this way.
That's actually excellent.
I still can't believe I did this.
Thank you.
It is a remarkable transformation.
Can't imagine doing question time again.
He actually wrote to a paper afterwards complaining, saying
did?
he didn't look... Jimmy Somerville,
did he?
saying he doesn't look like me and never has. And he ended the letter by saying, Ian Hislop can't even dance. You've got no proof of that.
No.
A man with very large penis stands at the back of the room.
That could have been Hand.
Yeah.
Could have been Hand.
And the bloke who's got the little blue book to the right said, there's no need for that, Brian. And the bloke in the glasses and the little lapel thing there is saying I could rest me beer on that.
That's why it couldn't be Hand.
I leave you with news that at a crowded London party, someone shouts, "Oi, dickhead," across the room.
Now, they were laughing at Blair jokes then.
Yes, so this is while he's leader of opposition.
Must be.
And at the official launch party of the World Charisma Day, things get off to the worst possible start as the first two guests arrive.
Who's that?
Nick Faldo.
Ah, this was the producer's idea of what would be amusing.
Yes.
I've turned into a snooker player. That's terrible. And you're Val Doonican.
Yes. Yeah, so the parrot hadn't said a word all show.
Late, but nonetheless appreciated.
Does it do something at the end?
I think that was it. I think he just said hello.
Didn't it, after many hours, display its plumage?
I might have done, yeah. It's obviously not survived the edit.
Was its one trick?
Kettering residents near a newly opened magnet factory are advised not to wear steel toe caps.
But that's got to be a set-up bit of film. It's not a piece of news film, is it?
Escape from a local vivisection clinic. Ian and Paul.
He's rather good at that, the monkey.
Get your eyes off my thighs.
Oh, this is the series I didn't do.
Yeah, I think...
Well, you appear to be on it.
And I'm on as your guest.
Oh, of course, yeah.
She's dying. She's got, she's got
Nothing changes.
Oh, here you go. You're furious because I interrupted your joke.
She's got spudgy like... No, not across the gags, please. No. She's got spudgy like... Are you still here? She's got spudgy like...
Unlike you next week, thank God.
Absolutely. You answer the question.
The Sun said you've got a great lump on your thighs, and she said that's no way to talk about Will Carling.
Oh, we forgot that rumour.
Everyone a winner.
Yes. Quite right.
Fooled me.
What does that mean? Nothing. You just said something on the top of your head, it's meaningless.
Yeah.
Could you pass the water? It's all timing, meaningless. Can you pass the water? Got to laugh. Just timing. It's timing.
I think I enjoyed this show more than any other I've been on. That's the best place to sit between you two.
I'm feeling you were making a point.
In the days before the crucial debate, John Major was clearly concerned by the serious implications of the report.
Have you read the Scott report yet?
Good response.
Have you read it then? Have you got a copy?
I've read a précis.
No, he hasn't read it. Regular viewers will know that round 2 is sometimes tailored to suit our guests' specialist areas. So this week we focus on agony columns and those personal, emotional and sexual problems that are all too familiar.
Oh, no, this is Martin and...
Ah, yes, the men behaving badly.
So everything they say about Swedish au pairs is true, Anna? But what's the au pair saying back?
Yes, we're all monopeds.
He's done it a lot, Martin, hasn't he, over the years? He's always good.
This is I think the reason why I didn't do this series, I'm sure it was, but the reason why I didn't do it was because I just thought... I was getting very tired of it at this point, I think. I just thought we'd got into a bit of a rut with it, and...
What year was this?
This, I think, is 96. Yeah, it's 96, and I did the first one, was your guest, and then Eddie came in, I think. Eddie Izzard.
That's right, and he did a couple of them.
Yeah, and these two did a couple.
And then Clive Anderson did one.
And I think the show has been better ever since we did this series, in all honesty, because I think I just think we were in a rut, and I think that thing with the parrots at the end of the last one was a bit of a sort of gimmick that didn't work, and it just felt that we were kind of treading water a bit, but...
And this shook it up a bit, because there were some odd combinations on it, and Eddie was good, and you could have the two of them together. I think it discovered some new people, too.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it just sort of... it just sort of was a bit of a shot in the arm, I think, really. This is all very... I can't hear what they're saying, but it all sounds very funny.
Yeah, it was very funny. It was very laddie.
Yeah.
Apparently she's...
the height of laddiness. I think Claire was very interested at this point. She hadn't thought of any of this.
Yes.
Back, and I was just rubbing it to make her feel better. You won't say anything to your mother, will you?
Oh, that's right. There were all these tabloid that are getting more and more graphic. The sexual problems.
Right.
Wife suddenly making an appearance.
I must get rid of that blonde wig.
Yeah.
What would you do if she wrote into you saying, "Dear Claire"?
I'm damned if I'd let him sleep so peacefully after what he'd been up to.
What would
I'd be
you do?
giving him hell.
He's knackered, Claire. Obviously, he's serving up old cheap wig here and the Dutch bird.
He would not be sleeping so peacefully alongside me if he'd done that, I tell you.
Yes.
I'm not...
Yeah, walked straight into it.
Yes.
Rotisserie on the kind of like a toast.
Oh, no, this is me again, I think.
The madness of having lorries delivering
Oh, you're
fire
back.
to the continent. That's the Kent Fire Brigade. Just because there's people in Calais who've had the electricity cut off and they're delivering fire...
Oh, right, this must be the next series where you came back again.
Yes. Yes.
Why in this country are we...
Was that it, then, of the series I wasn't in? That was the one highlight? Oh, it probably will come back, I'm sure.
Oh, there was Eddie, and then there was...
Yes.
Which I rather hope the Piers Morgan.
Oh, yes, of course, because that was... Yeah, I didn't do the Piers Morgan one. The one show I really wished I'd been on was the Piers Morgan show.
I do hope there's over an hour of that, including unseen footage.
It was the most extraordinary performance, wasn't it, from him? He tried to bully the audience, didn't he?
Yeah. He hadn't realised he wasn't in his own newsroom anymore.
Emergency procedures kicked in.
That's John Docherty.
Yes, what was... Yes, why was he looking like that?
I think he'd been doing a chat show for years, and it drives you mad, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or was that pre his chat show?
When did... Depends when Channel 5 started. Because he was on every night, wasn't he?
That's right. Goldsmith. God, there's so many dead people on this show.
The referendum party put in, and that's Alan Walters, who I've met before. I
remember at the time...
Look at him. You'd never believe that was Nigel Lawson.
No, he's extraordinary, isn't he? Doesn't look well, though.
He was a huge fat man our whole life. Suddenly he sat there.
Right. Sir Alan Walters is best remembered as Margaret Thatcher's economic advisor.
He'd written a diet book. That's why he was on.
That's right, yes. Yes.
You can't get the chance for the Exchequer unless he's plugging a diet book.
But also, he's sort of... he's... Because he was fat for a long time, his skin has just sort of just sits there, doesn't it? It's lost its...
Yeah.
It's been stretched over the... Mind you, I know when I talk. I'm still waiting for me to get thin. I'm sure I'm thin at some point in this.
Who blamed... She got into jungle music and blamed those rock and roll rhythms for running up a £3 million overdraft and shagging everyone in sight.
Who's he talking about there?
She did have a jab.
Fergie, presumably.
Yeah.
One of the most unpleasant...
John looks though he's in the Three Musketeers. It might have been a part, actually, mightn't it?
Yes.
I was going to say, she says this is responsible for all her subsequent behaviour.
Yeah, it is Fergie.
She said this on the Ruby Wax show.
Yeah.
Another good PR move by the Duchess. I won't look an idiot, will I? Oh, no.
Fergie believes that...
Poor old Fergie was so desperate. I once wrote something half rude about her, and her office sent me a letter saying thank you for being so kind.
Well, she's now making a career in America.
Yeah, she's a broadcaster now.
Yeah.
Images and compared herself to a Humpty Dumpty figure. I had to put myself back together when all the king's horses and all the king's men had already written the job off. The only difference being, of course, that Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, not a Texan.
This was it was Fergie jokes were the jokes, weren't they, for a while?
You got a girlfriend at the moment?
Yes, I have a girlfriend at the moment.
How old's she?
Mind your own bloody business.
I heard she was 16.
That's an ouch. That was last week. She's 17 now.
17? Yeah. Your haircut's older than that.
Finally, we get there. That's one of the only time I've ever had a pre-prepared joke to go on the show with, and I just said...
And you were trying to get it in for hours.
Ages. No, I'm not...
When I was 17, I couldn't get a 17-year-old girl for love or money. I don't know how you do it.
I think it's the latter of the two options you mentioned.
That looks prepared, but wasn't.
No, that's good. That's good.
That's Rona Cameron, star of Celebrity something or other.
That's right. I'd forgotten she'd ever been on the show.
Prescott is our MP, and Rod Hull.
Maureen Lipton, she's always good.
It did Tutu train in Hull. I think he
Tutu train?
Now, that's an extraordinary moment, isn't it?
That's an ad-lib.
Yeah, yeah. Tutu train. The chances of you saying that and that, you know, picking up on that is very funny.
Tutu train coming on over the Hull.
I'm just saying the end of it there, really. That's
Tony Blair.
but very funny though. Did Tutu train?
And a carpet mite.
And there's a period where the lookalikes always contained a classical reference.
Yes.
It's probably to get Eddie going.
I know. Didn't they all join in National Constipation Week? Or
He was good, I have to say it.
Mm-hmm.
As opposing team captains go.
But the other three don't, and it's going to be something obscure and stupid like that, isn't it? One of them's made out of jam.
Like to nominate one to be made out of jam?
Yes. I don't know. The carpet mite's made out of jam.
Well, I'm going to have to actually give one to
They
Eddie.
all conquered Britain, apart from the carpet mite.
It's nowhere near, Ian. It's a pathetic guess. Even further away than the
Oh, this
one
was
that
nice, the producers. I had a cold.
Sorry, I've been recruited by National Nose Blowing. They wanted someone to blow their nose on television to prove that, you know, it's not embarrassing, it's not sad, and
it's not pleasant.
Which it wasn't.
So what's the answer?
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to have to actually...
Max Clifford.
Oh, yes, him and Eddie didn't really click, I seem to remember.
No.
Which is the carpet mite, even though you did say it was because it was made of jam.
Clifford sort of said that he wouldn't tell the truth, so he never had any idea what was going on.
Yes.
Carling, Earl Spencer, and Her Majesty the Queen.
Isn't it all press complaints against Piers?
Oh, this is Piers Morgan.
Because didn't you send
You should know all about complaints here.
So didn't you send photographers in to sneak up on this chap's wife?
Piers on the attack from the first moment.
Did you have any idea he was going to be like this?
No. But he's very used to the newsroom situation where, you know, he's the boss and he bullies the people
he says
around
something
him.
that he thinks is funny and everybody laughs.
Yeah. And he tried it on the audience. And he tried it on Clive. And it failed.
Am I right in thinking that when Angus was in the newspapers back in earlier this year, that Piers Morgan phoned up several times saying, "Can I be on the show this week as a guest?"
Yes, I think having said, you know, having laid into the show and said I never want to appear on it again, he suddenly developed a new interest.
Yeah.
He did actually say he watches this occasionally and it's like watching a car crash.
What, in the sense there's a lot of people sitting around asking questions?
Do you two want to go and have a fight?
But I'm sure this is the genesis of his complete obsession with me.
Yes, because he did a ridiculous thing on you, didn't he? A huge photograph. Have you seen this man or something?
No, he's been crawling all over my life. I mean, all that stuff, him threatening Clive and saying I'll put photographers, I mean, it's all true.
Mhm.
I had a bloke in my drive all week, and he rang up my vicar last night.
It's still going on?
Oh, yeah. No, he hasn't given up.
By Robbie Coltrane, so you're entirely wrong to use that against me.
Oh,
There he is, looking stroppy.
I just thought I'd say that, in case the viewers got the wrong idea by this vindictive attack on me, personally.
They have such a thin skin. It's a couple of casual remarks. That's not a vindictive attack.
Well, I mean, he edited the News of the World. And then the Mirror. You'd think he'd have noticed what vindictive means.
To come on this programme, you've got to take it.
I demand my privacy.
Okay.
Yeah, but he means that. Anything written about him at all, he just gets absolutely furious about.
Well, he's been furious with you, hasn't he, because of the stuff you put in the eye?
Well, I mean,
Which was fairly mild.
Well, the Department of Trade and Industry are looking into him. It's not a personal vendetta by us.
Is the answer jam?
Silence.
Because last week Eddie Izzard said everybody roared with laughter. As if it was hilarious. I just thought I'd say.
People like him.
Very good.
Picking Eddie Izzard was particularly bad.
Yes, yes.
Intruder.
No.
Still the competitive streak is there.
Yeah.
I just said intruder, it could have happened.
Yes, but it didn't. Police grab air pistol, in fact, at Palace.
Whose was it?
An intruder's. Next, what kills Hippo?
David Attenborough.
Ladybird. It's caterpillar.
It's
jam. You see, Piers?
Got the laugh on the jam.
Yeah.
That's comedy.
The answer is tennis ball. The tragic tale of a 2-ton hippo who swallowed a tennis ball in Germany.
Surely you must have covered that in the Daily
Yes,
Mirror.
you're not doing
That's
very well
exactly
on
a
these,
page
are you?
5 story.
What do you know about newspaper editing, Clive?
About as much as you do.
Yes, that really is the moment.
Yes.
But I think Piers had also forgotten that Clive was a lawyer. That he's not in the slightest bit worried by confrontation and actually loves it.
Yeah.
You sent photographers around to my doorstep the next day, so I'm not doing that again.
You won't see them this time.
Yeah, but it's not a joke.
No, I know.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
But don't try the popularity line with me, Hislop.
Why?
Anybody here like it? Do you like him? Anybody actually like
I don't know much about editing newspapers, Piers, but Ian is a regular on this show. These are all people come to see Ian.
Is this one of the worst performances any guest has ever put in on the series, do you think?
I think it's right down there at the bottom. It's him and Derek Hatton, really, isn't it?
John Burt praised this programme. Have I Got News for You has carried forward an ancient national tradition of puncturing the powerful and pompous, said the puffed-up little twat.
Car stereos nicked from Faces of 5 Men.
Elvis Costello.
There was a coup.
I'd be wearing this.
Did he say much?
I don't think he did. I think he was sort of... Oh, hello.
You said you were going to enter a horse at the Grand National.
It's an old gag.
But it worked
appropriate.
And you added some more, didn't you?
I think something's just occurred to me.
Don't take a photo of me now, I'm fucking a horse!
That's what occurred to you.
Yes, that's what occurred to me.
In London, John Major G's himself up before a big speech on drug abuse.
Wow. Kettle, pot.
Kettle, pot.
There's conclusive proof that
Coal.
misshapen vegetables simply aren't funny.
Well, this is interesting. That we're
It's Labour time.
Yeah.
The votes.
Mad cow disease.
Oh, they did change the titles. It's very unfair of us. The Euro.
Yeah. Global warming, presumably.
Yeah, or did we have a drought?
Possibly. And satellite football.
Yeah.
Yeah, now this here, you see, it took me ages to work out what this was. That's meant to be Glenn Miller on the left.
And Elvis.
Elvis Presley.
And the Aliens.
And the Alien.
Yeah. Ah, you see.
But Glenn Miller. Topical news quiz.
One for the oldies.
Yeah.
You can only be sure with the Conservatives rings as true as ever.
What's that pigeon there for?
I don't know, but he had quite a sense of humour, didn't he, John Major? I think. Don't you think?
Yeah.
You know, for a politician.
Yeah. Everyone thought he'd be dull, but he was actually a pretty funny joke, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
In recognition of Cherie Blair's immaculate appearance throughout the election, the National Guild of Hairdressers sent their congratulations.
This was
Yeah. For a supposedly well-oiled machine, the Labour Party couldn't believe they'd done that.
Yeah.
I've ever seen in my whole life. Every time you thought you could go to bed, no, there's another one going.
Oh, dear.
There they are. It's all our fault, you know.
We started them off their career.
Now measures that evening in terms of... So how late did you stay up? Did you stay up for...
Now the nation's sweetheart.
Did you stay up for Portillo? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's odd, that shot, because you're in there next to both of them, aren't you?
Yes. She was the one that was booked.
Yeah. So how did he get on?
Well, she brought him along because this was a booking before the election result. So she was going to come on whether, win, lose or whatever. And they lost, and so she said, well, can I, my husband's Neil, can he come on as well? So
Wait, what did she say to the
we sort of, there we are.
Oh, there's a three shot.
Terrible free shot.
I'm very sorry for those who lost, an experience I never had.
I didn't enjoy this show.
She's all heart.
I remember this show because for about 20 minutes no one mentioned anything about sleaze or corruption or Al-Fayed or nothing.
Yeah.
And nothing happened, and they were just jollying along, and I thought, someone's going to have to be unpleasant soon, and it was me.
They weren't invited to the Labour celebrations at the Festival Hall. Here's what you missed.
This just goes on forever, doesn't it? It always feels, yes, it's sort of easy, I feel, for you to sort of have a go at them, because I always feel sort of protective towards people if they're on my team.
Yes, that's very chivalrous of you.
You kind of sort of feel you don't really want to have a go at them, and unless they, like Teddy Taylor, for example, unless it goes beyond a joke, as it were, but... yeah, they were...
I think you might have drawn the line with them. But,
yeah.
But she, she comes over as a sort of game old bird.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Ian...
we decided to go to bed instead.
Right.
Well, everybody has their own way of celebrating.
Maureen was funny.
Has it got something to do with Manchester Airport?
Might be.
Yep.
Oh, this is swampy.
Unbelievable.
Yes, it has.
Now, there was somebody that sort of, for 3 months, was very, very famous.
Yeah.
Came out of nowhere. I can't remember what his real name is now. Matthew, is it, or something like that?
And he only came on the show because he wanted to sit next to you.
That's right, yes.
He had no idea who anyone else was.
Is it?
This is it now, I think.
Well, he was on your side, wasn't he, in the Manchester Airport? Yeah.
Right, excellent. Who is he?
No, he just didn't know.
He's a very sweet boy, though. He was a really nice guy.
Do you remember what he smelt like?
Very sweet.
The girls in makeup had a fit because he just, you know, he went in, he was covered in mud and his hair was, and he was literally just out the tunnel.
It's getting rather tiresome. It's getting like reminiscent of a conversation an old people's home. Who are we talking about? Oh, yes.
But the other people in the protest movement thought he'd been a tart for coming on this show.
Yeah.
And he became very unpopular.
Could I just point out, we don't say old people anymore, we say older people.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Well, we don't. We say old people.
Richard's always good value.
Yeah.
It's the ever-lovely Charlie Whelan. Last time I saw him, we were in the same jacuzzi together. And,
Sans moustache.
Yeah. Much more respectable now.
He looks electable now.
I was being told what to say, like we all are by the spin doctors these days.
I see.
They are a wonderful...
That's his brief period of being in the Labour Party. You have to catch
It
it.
goes beat, vote now. It says beat, no more votes, go home. Beat, don't answer the Sunday Times questionnaire. You know?
What does it say at the moment? Beat, you're fired.
Tony Blair. Oh, got that one.
That's Bernie Blair. That's a fag.
And that isn't.
This was the first scandal, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Harry being led away slightly pissed.
After abusing Mandelson at number 10.
Yeah. Facing 10 years to...
Yeah, it was the first scandal, really, this one.
Tobacco.
It's a great spectacle. The Labour Party's principals going... Eccleston is absolutely brilliant, and he gives £1 million to the Labour Party. He gets the decision he wants, and then he gets his money back.
The audience just about accepting anti-Labour jokes here.
Yes.
They didn't to start with, did they? They just didn't want to hear.
I think there was such a relief that it was the Tories were no longer in.
Yeah.
You know, all those terrible stories, you know, the people who committed suicide, you know,
Yeah,
who killed
Guy
themselves in
with the-
bizarre sexual practices and...
The endless sleaze.
You just, you know, it just seemed they could do anything and get away with it, but I think...
Two questions. Well, one question, to be precise. A lot.
Did you threaten to overrule
I was not entitled to instruct...
This is great, isn't it?
Yeah. And I did not instruct him. And
Did
the
you
truth
threaten
of,
to overrule
the truth of the matter is that...
Didn't Jeremy Paxman say the reason why he kept asking this question because they were going to be going to another item and it wasn't ready? So
Yeah.
he was spinning it out.
I'm not sure I believe that.
No, I don't.
I think it's brilliant that it's on this compilation because you don't get a best hits of Newsnight, do you?
No.
In the DVD shops, to be honest.
I have accounted...
I hope we get the Jeffrey Archer, when Jeffrey Archer loses it, when he says, well, I'm mayor, I think that's going to come on later.
And threatens people, and John Prescott doing it live and hoping he wasn't.
He's done hundreds of those. I saw one the other day, which I'd never seen before, from about 10 years ago. Making the mistake of thinking he's on, you know, recorded
re-record
television
it.
as opposed to live.
That's how I always justify
He's still asking him the question.
But it's 14 times, isn't it?
I discussed...
I think we'll take that as a yes.
When Channel 5 were doing all that retuning, one retuner went to somebody's house and found...
Oh, he's there.
A sausage stuck in the back of the video.
Now, this is before...
Before he was Director General.
Stuck in the back of the video, and he said, well, it only worked when I kept my finger there and I got bored.
There's just Jack now lost the fair look.
Without the beard. Because one aside's enough.
That is the secret of how to get Channel 5. That is the chairman of Channel 5 who's just told you.
Was he chairman of Channel 5?
He's come up in the world, hasn't he?
Saying to Ray Cantona, look, that's how I shave under my armpits, like that. No, I don't know why I bothered saying that.
Gone. Neil Morrissey again.
Ah, no, this is one from the special that we did that was on video.
3 in a row?
Yeah. What, the pirate special?
I can't think of anything that's not funny.
Yeah.
That was a concept video, wasn't it?
Yes.
Over to you, Angus.
Yes, I'm sorry, I enjoyed that. Yes, that's never been broadcast, that.
Yes, the jackpot.
Yes, you have indeed.
Who's that?
Happened upon
Max
our,
Boyce.
multi.
Oh, yes, so it was.
Who was also very quiet, I think.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do come on and are surprised at how... Oh, my God. Look what's happening there. Long time since I visited the hairdressers.
Well, my parents had a lot of Max Boyce albums when I was young, so I knew all his songs. That's probably why he shut up.
We all had doctor's certificates. What was the song you used to do? We all had doctor's notes or something?
Yeah. And then hymns and arias and all that sort of stadium stuff.
Initially.
That's a fun director, that's not a book of gas.
It's
a prop gag.
It's a regional programme, obviously.
Yes.
The producer desperately trying to fill up his remit.
We'll let you into the secret.
Right, OK.
Suitably patronising.
Angus's television magic.
Yes.
What am I wearing?
Words together in the same sentence.
Paul Daniels' cast-offs.
He's got a card stuck in the middle of it.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Come on, read it out.
Chilled drinking water.
Do you have a card stuck on your bedroom mirror so when you wake up in the morning it says, "Hello, I'm Angus Davis"?
It says comb hair now.
This was the start of the autocue jokes, wasn't it?
Well, I think this is where they started to allow them in, because we used to do autocue jokes all the time, but they always were cut. They said we didn't want people to know that he was reading stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, Hungarians. He told a Briton in the crowd, "You haven't been here long. You haven't got a pot belly." Kenyans, accepting a gift from a Kenyan woman in 1984, said, "You are a woman, aren't you?"
Talk about reading these out as the audience loved them.
Yes. Yeah, they're
thinking how funny the Duke of Edinburgh is.
Yes. Well, a man that's sent abroad from various diplomatic missions.
So those three certainly have all been sheared or shaved for charity, so I don't know who the other guy is, so he's the odd one out.
Richard Branson.
Branson's there. Dolly the sheep.
The Mr. Bukharam.
Is he an Iranian Minister of Justice?
Close. President of Ecuador.
Current affairs always my strong point.
Is that the Actors' Union?
Do you want to know more about Mr. Abdallah Bukharam?
No.
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you anyway.
Oh. Well, I don't want to know it.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Well, when this bit comes on, I'll turn the telly off.
And I'm going to go la 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 la.
Ah, no, I have to do the same thing again now, otherwise I'm going to hear it, because I never heard it at the time.
You can't make me know this.
They tried that at school, it didn't work.
Right, well, you better start shouting now, because here we go. Mr. Abdallah...
Yeah, he's going to do it now. Fingers going right in the ears.
Back.
I love his persistence.
Return.
It's going to happen every time he does it.
Yeah, and he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
This is like being at home with my 2-year-old.
Mike, just let me say it. I don't know.
Yeah, OK. I'd like to hear Martin do it.
Righto. Mr. Abdallah Bukharam. It's not going to work. Fair enough.
What about Michael? What about someone on your side?
Yes, I'd like to hear Michael.
Mr. Abdallah.
It had to happen.
Yeah, it is.
Very disappointing.
That's what you really wanted.
Let's throw water at him out of our glasses.
That never happened, did it? I think you should read that out.
Is he going to go for it?
Circular.
He's going to go for it.
He is, isn't he?
Tail spotted on what?
The comment.
What happened? Why was it edited there?
Because he did it again, didn't he?
Yeah, he did it again.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
I've been there myself.
It's a typical producer's edit.
Yeah.
There was no idea.
Not a
Terrible.
clue.
Or Halebot.
In 20 years, we'll get a final cut ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You haven't got it, Angus. It's halibut.
Right.
This is Will Self.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's the answer.
Described as looking like a tall undertaker. The first review. He's been good every time.
Yes, he is excellent.
Cashmere sweater.
Cashew nuts.
Yeah.
We must be back on an election programme, are we?
Yes, this is the one that got Richard on it, I think.
And why is that bird there?
I don't know, symbol of peace, Liberal Party or something? Or was it somebody, or was it Labour's new symbol or something?
I don't remember at all. Obviously very funny.
And
It
it came to you.
came up on the monitor, actually.
What did?
Oh, did it?
Are you accusing...
Oh, yes, it did, actually. Yes, yes, yes.
The first Labour sleaze.
He was very active, wasn't he, round the election? As a sort of, actors for Labour.
Absolutely.
Monitor and I read it out.
I'm an actor, I think he says.
But if I see something on the screen, I read it. That's what I am. I'm an actor.
Lastly, what is possible at the Ritz?
Anything.
Anything.
Raiding the minibar.
$4
grand bill.
Yeah,
Adultery.
I'm sorry? $4 grand for adultery? Sure.
Doesn't look right, does it, with 3 people, though? It makes us look like every other panel show.
It's possible at the Ritz.
No, but that's got more than 9 letters. That won't do.
Dinners.
Dinners.
Dinners,
Dinners
no.
is no.
Dinners is possible.
Dinners is possible. Grammar's not the strong point of private eye.
He edits a magazine. You can't expect him to know these things.
No. I know, he's made me a cover girl.
Really?
Yeah, afraid so, a few weeks ago. Sorry.
Now, what did we say?
Oh.
Oh, that was it. You were saying, what would it take to make you resign? And he said about 10 grand in a brown envelope.
Shameless.
Yeah.
We're all right there for you?
I think so.
I'd forgotten that bit.
Is he saying, because his hands are clasped like that, is he saying, give us a kiss or I'll squash your budgie?
I don't know what that hair's doing. That's amazing.
Did that programme ended? Oh, here it is. He actually gave them a bung, didn't he?
Yes.
He's opened it. He's checking it for money.
Open its money. Very disappointed.
And I leave you with news of a spectacular moment at the World Tortoise Stamping Championships.
Oh, do you think a tortoise would have that much blood in it? I don't think it would it?
There is a sort of line in unpleasant animal photos, isn't there?
Yes.